I mean, what an incredibly difficult position to put Islam in if he loses. Now you're going to have a choice. Are you going to run back to 55, which, by the way, isn't the way you left it? There's a new king. Outside of illness or even if I'm breaking news to you, then I'm not sharing my opinion. I'm sharing a fact with you. It's Arman versus Ilya. That is 100% the plan.
The excitement among fans has reached a completely new level since Khabib announced that Islam is fighting at UFC 322 against JDM for the welterweight title. Everyone is looking forward to this matchup, and Islam Makhachev has escalated the anticipation by posting his latest training video for that fight. However, Chael Sonnen has raised some concerns for the Dagestani star and his fans. Sonnen pointed out the tricky position Islam Makhachev faces by moving up to welterweight. He questioned what Makhachev would do if he lost, then going back to lightweight wouldn't be straightforward, with a new champion now in charge, and starting fresh at 170 could be an even tougher road. Sonnen believes Team Makhachev is going into this expecting a win, not preparing for what happens if things go wrong.
I mean, what an incredibly difficult position to put Islam in if he loses. Now you're going to have a choice. Are you going to run back to 55, which, by the way, isn't the way you left it? There's a new king. Or do you start reclaiming the ladder at 170? It's an interesting question. Not one that I believe Team Islam is considering. I believe they are expecting to win.
However, the fans are still confident that Islam will pass this hurdle and fulfill his dream of becoming a double champ. Meanwhile, Chael Sonnen also talked about Ilia Toporia's next matchup and is confident that Ilia Topuria versus Arman Tsarukyan is the UFC's next move, saying it's not speculation but a fact. He pointed out that Topuria often denies a matchup before eventually accepting it, something fans have seen before. When asked why he was so certain, Chael mentioned he had inside information, referencing his close connection to Arman's wrestling coach, Daryl Christian, who also happens to be one of his best friends.
Outside of illness or even if I'm breaking news to you, then I'm not sharing my opinion. I'm sharing a fact with you. It's Arman versus Ilya. That is 100% the plan.
What makes you so confident, 100% sure it's going to be Arman Tsarukyan getting the shot? I've said that, I'm pretty sure I said I'd eat that hat behind me if his next fight was for a title, just because it seems so grim, Chael.
Sure.
What has changed?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, first off, I'm obviously coming to you with information, whether I should have or I shouldn't. Secondly, I was the best man in his wedding. His name's Daryl Christian, and he's the wrestling coach of Arman Tsarukyan. Third, I just spoke to Coach Cal. I wanted to come out and I wanted to film Chimaev training, and it turns out that Tsarukyan's in the room.
Chael Sonnen pointed to Ilia Toporia's recent comments as a clear sign that the Arman Tsarukyan fight is in motion. He explained that one of the biggest clues came when Ilya publicly said he didn't want the fight, a pattern Sonnen says he's followed before. According to Chael, elite fighters often have subtle habits, whether it's in their technique or how they handle promotion. Just like some fighters blink before throwing a punch, Ilya's way of preparing for a fight seems to start with denying it altogether. Sonnen noted that the only opponent Ilya has ever openly agreed to fight right away was Paddy Pimblett.
A bigger tell also was what Ilya did a week ago, which is said, I don't want to fight. And the greats always, they don't even know they have it. They don't even, coaches will break them down. It's the same with technique. A coach will have to break, hey, he slips here before he throws hook. Chuck Liddell had a big thing that he would blink before he threw punches. I'm just sharing, like, everybody has something that gets them going. Your job is to go find out what it is, but it's not any different in promotion. Ilya's first move for doing a fight is to deny the fight. The only person that he's ever openly said, I'll fight, is Paddy. Everybody else that he's getting ready to fight, he denies. It's just his approach.
Chael Sonnen drew a comparison between Ilia Topuria and Anderson Silva, saying both follow a similar pattern when it comes to promoting fights. He explained that Anderson had a routine to first deny the fight, then accept it after a couple of weeks, followed by leaking an injury report to make fans think the fight was off. Eventually, he'd confirm everything was fine, and the fight was back on. According to Chael, Ilya operates the same way, whether he realizes it or not.
Anderson would always deny the fight. He'd let that run for about 2 weeks. He would then accept the fight. He would let that run for about a month. He would then slip an injury report to the media where you think the fight is off. It's not going to happen. He'd get his run out of that, and then he'd come out and tell everybody I'm fine and it's on. I'm only sharing. That was his system. 100% of his fights, he built the same way. Ilya's not any different whether he knows it about himself or not. But Ilya's first move when he's going to fight a guy, aside from Patty, is to say, I'm not fighting the guy.
On the other hand, all the headlines about Islam versus JDM fight at UFC 322 started when Khabib Nurmagomedov let slip the next big UFC title fight during a live appearance. He mentioned that Islam Makhachev would be fighting Jack Della Maddalena at Madison Square Garden. According to insider reports, this matchup is set to headline UFC 322 in November 2025.
Promise us. Be quiet, please. I think the manager, he upset because I give information, but this is his deal with UFC. I don't deal with UFC. This is his problem. But we have deal with them. He's gonna fight in Madison Square Garden, and they say yes.
Daniel Cormier reacted to Khabib's statement and spoke about the upcoming welterweight title clash, calling it one of the sport's biggest moments. He pointed out that Islam Makhachev is stepping into new territory, facing a fresh challenge outside of his past lightweight battles. After a string of dominant performances, Islam now has the chance to prove himself in a different weight class. On the other side, Jack Della Maddalena finds himself in the spotlight, going up against one of MMA's most well-known and accomplished athletes, a true test of whether he's ready to rise to the top. Daniel Cormier said, "Now we have a date for one of the biggest super fights in the sport, Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena, headlining the biggest arena in the world. This is a different kind of challenge for Islam at 170 pounds, outside of the Volk fights. Since that first bout, it's been dominant performance after dominant performance. Now he gets the chance to become a two-division champion. But for Jack Della Maddalena, this is his moment to rise, to face one of the best fighters on the planet, a guy with a massive name and an even bigger following." Furthermore, Daniel Cormier also said Islam Makhachev's striking doesn't get the respect it deserves. He pointed out that Islam outclassed Dustin Poirier on the feet for nearly 5 full rounds before finishing the fight, yet many still focused on Poirier's efforts. Cormier believes Islam's control often goes unnoticed because he makes high-level fighting look effortless. He added that the true tests await at welterweight, where Islam will face opponents his own size.
Islam, he's a much better striker than people give him credit for. He won all the rounds against Dustin Poirier in a fight that was pretty much all striking. Everybody's like, well, Dustin Poirier fought him so well, but he didn't. It was literally 5 rounds to 0 and he got submitted.
It's almost like Poirier got his licks, but he got dominated.
He got beat. Because Islam's been so good, people judge him differently. I think there are way more interesting fights for him at 170 because of the size difference than there is at 155. Because right now, when was the last time he had finished someone? He finished Charles for the belt.
Volk.
He fought Volk. That was close. Didn't finish him. And the second time he finished Volk.
Second time, finished Moicano.
Finished Moicano. Finished Dustin Poirier. He beats them all because they're too small.
Similarly, Joe Rogan reflected on how Islam Makhachev's striking has become a real weapon over time, no longer just a means to set up his grappling. He pointed to the knockout of Alexander Volkanovski as a clear example of how refined and strategic Islam has become. Rogan questioned the decision to take that rematch without a full training camp, suggesting that facing someone as precise and dangerous as Islam on short notice is a risky move.
He's a threat everywhere. Like when he knocked out Volk with that high kick.
Yeah,
and
that
granted,
was
crazy. But granted, if I was in Volk's corner, I would say, no,
I know.
You're not taking it. You've been fucking drinking beer and eating kebabs. Like, there's no way you're taking this fight on 10 days notice. I don't care how confident you are. I don't care how much you like fighting. That's a crazy thing. I don't care how much money they're paying you, because you look at the slide that his career took, right? He arguably won that first fight with Islam. Very close fight, loses a decision. Or was it a draw?
It was a decision. Was it a draw? That's actually a good question.
Islam Dulatov also offered his perspective on the matchup, warning fans not to underestimate the complexity of the fight. He acknowledged that while Makhachev likely had the skills to win, expecting a walkover would be a mistake. Dulatov emphasized that Jack Della Maddalena presents real challenges, especially in terms of striking and physicality at 170 pounds. He noted that Makhachev, despite his dominance at lightweight, wouldn't enjoy the same size advantage in this new division and would need to rely on smart tactics and elite grappling to pull through.
I think a lot of people think that it's going to be an easy fight for Islam, but I don't think that it's going to be that easy. I think Islam gonna win, but I don't think it's gonna be an easy fight for him, like everybody thinks, because Islam is maybe big for lightweight, but he's not big for welterweight.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's why I would say, like, I don't know, he don't look for me so big.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it's just on pictures or whatever, but actually, you know, I think JDM has a lot more of weight than him. But at the end of the day, I think JDM has better striking, and Islam has for sure a better ground game. And I think.
On the other hand, former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya predicted that Jack Della Maddalena would stop Islam Makhachev inside the distance. He believed Islam wouldn't be able to keep Jack down or deal with his ability to scramble and reset on the feet. Adesanya backed Jack with full confidence and mentioned he plans to be there live to watch it unfold.
Della versus Islam.
Della is going to get it done. Islam would feel like he bit off more than he could chew once he gets in there with him, because his scrambles are crazy, and I feel he's going to knock him out, because I just think he's not going to be able to hand with him on the scrambles, or when he gets back up, I really think he's going to get him, and I can't wait till that happens.
Robert Whittaker also has similar thoughts, as he suggested that Jack Della Maddalena's physicality and slick grappling make him a real problem for someone like Islam Makhachev. He explained that Jack's ability to stay upright and his sharp boxing, especially his focus on the body, could wear Islam down and disrupt his rhythm. Whittaker believes those body shots might force Islam to hesitate before committing to takedowns, shifting the momentum in Jack's favor.
Why does JDM beat Islam in your opinion?
I can see the fight playing out very much like it did with Volk, but Jack's bigger. He's got a different frame. He's a hard dude to try and hold down. I think his jiu-jitsu is very underrated. He has good jiu-jitsu.
Who give him?
Not to mention, Jack has really good hands. If he can works the body, which makes it harder to shoot on, to give Islam trouble.
Meanwhile, Javier Mendez discussed Islam Makhachev's mindset heading into a potential showdown with Jack Della Maddalena. Rather than comparing Jack to other contenders like Ilia Topuria, Mendez focused on Islam's hunger for big challenges. He said, "What excites Islam most isn't the opponent's name, but the difficulty of the task." According to Mendez, Islam thrives on pushing himself and trusts in the complete arsenal he's built through years of disciplined training.
It's hard to say if he's a harder challenge. I just know Islam wants this one. So for me, that's the challenge I want, and it's the challenge that I know Islam's going to be, supreme over, because I just know his skill set. I know what he brings to the table, and he brings an incredible work ethic along with skill set in every area. So
Javier Mendez acknowledged that Jack Della Maddalena might present a different kind of test for Islam Makhachev than any of his previous opponents. Instead of focusing solely on his win streak, Mendez highlighted Jack's ability to mix levels and stay unpredictable. He said Jack doesn't just look for knockouts, he builds his offense smartly with body work and timing. Mendez added that Islam's camp wouldn't treat this like a routine takedown battle. They'd need to stay sharp, read Jack's movement, and create their own opportunities rather than wait for mistakes.
I think what makes JDM so dangerous, number one, he's unbeaten for quite a while. Yep. He's had quite a long win streak, and the fact that this guy mixes it up extremely well. He goes to the body, to the head. He doesn't just stick head hunting. He mixes it all up. He goes body, punch, boom, and then also the kick comes. And with him, his takedown defense is really, really good also. So we are not in a situation where we can think, we're going to go to the ground and no, we got to see what he's going to give us. And we have to we're going to have to make him give us something, because I don't know if he's going to. He's really that good.
However, Javier Mendez admits this potential clash as a high-level showdown between two elite fighters, but believed Islam Makhachev's championship pedigree would set him apart. He said Jack Della Maddalena hadn't yet faced someone with Islam's mix of fight IQ, timing, and composure under pressure. Mendez brushed off concerns about the move to welterweight, saying Islam had trained with much larger athletes for years and would be just as strong and capable in the higher division. He predicted a high-paced, tactical fight that would showcase both men's best tools.
Islam is a whole different animal than Jack's ever been involved with. So if that fight does materialize, we're going to see a hell of a fight, and you're going to see Islam perform at an absolute incredible level. And also, the weight is not super big for him either. So he's going to be a fairly decent welterweight. So Islam won't be a small guy. he'll be a decent welterweight if that fight materializes.
Meanwhile, Luke Rockhold called the matchup between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena a tough and exciting one. He listed Islam, Topuria, and JDM as his current favorites in the UFC. While he gave credit to Jack's wrestling ability, he believes Islam's deep grappling background gives him the upper hand. Rockhold pointed out that Jack's size could create problems depending on how well Islam adjusts to welterweight. Having trained with Islam himself, he mentioned the added size is clear and said he's interested to see how that factors into the fight.
Do you see him beating JDM to win that welterweight title?
That's a tough fight. That's a very tough fight. It's going to be interesting. You know, I think those are my three favorite fighters in the UFC right now. We go Islam, Topuria, and JDM. JDM's he's fun to watch. So, I mean, that's going to be a great fight. You know, he's no slouch at wrestling, but you have a guy that's wrestled his whole life and grappled his whole life versus JDM, who's kind of like, he's secondary on that, but, you know, you never know. He's a bigger guy. So, you know, we'll see how Islam, how he bulks up and how he looks. He looks a lot bigger than what I remember. I used to train with him forever. So, I mean, he's definitely grown. You know, we'll see how he carries the weight.
Former lightweight legend Dustin Poirier said the key to Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena lies in the early rounds. If Islam secures a takedown, he sees him winning, but if Jack defends it, Dustin believes his boxing and physical strength could cause serious problems for Islam. He added that while Islam's striking might appear awkward, it works because opponents are always cautious of the takedown.
Do you think he beats Jack Della Maddalena?
I think we'll find out first, second round how much trouble he has getting him down. I think if he gets those takedowns, he's gonna get the win. If Jack can stop those takedowns, which he does have good takedown defense, I think the boxing and the size could wear on Islam and give him some problems. But his striking's, you know, awkward and different. You have to worry so much about the takedown. You can't plant your feet and throw off those number combinations and really rip and sit on your punches because he's going to change levels. So it changes the way you fight. Well, for me, it did. I'm speaking from experience. So we'll see how Jack approaches and how Jack executes out there. But if you're worried about takedowns, you know, your shots are different. You're not sitting on everything and standing in front of the guy. You're trying to move and be light on your feet. I think the first 2 rounds will tell us how this fight's gonna go.
Dustin Poirier further described Islam Makhachev as a naturally big fighter built for welterweight and believed he could succeed in the division. He said he was interested to see how Islam matches up with someone like Jack Della Maddalena and felt the early exchanges, particularly Jack's takedown defense, would determine how the fight unfolds.
Speaking of Islam, what's your thoughts on him moving up to welterweight?
He's a big guy. I think he's going to fill into that weight. He's a really big 155er. So I think his lifestyle outside of training camp is going to be a little more comfortable, and he'll fill into that weight class no problem. He could be champion there for sure.
How do you think he does against JDM?
I think the beginning of the fight's going to tell the story, like how well JDM does at getting up, how well JDM does at keeping Islam off of his feet, off of his legs, off of the cage. It's tough to call that because JDM's a big guy, athletic. I'm excited about that. A lot of fun fights in the future.
Moreover, Sean O'Malley called Islam Makhachev's jump to welterweight an exciting move and downplayed the size gap with Jack Della Maddalena. He believed Islam's high-level skill set could offset any physical disadvantages. While he found the idea of Jack stuffing takedowns and applying pressure interesting, he also pointed out that Islam's underrated striking might end up being the deciding factor.
How do you think Islam does at welterweight?
Who knows? I heard he's not going to be any smaller than Jack come fight night. 55 to 70, that's a little bit different than 35 to 45, 45 to 55. But when your skill level's that high, as Islam's is, it'll be interesting if he goes in there and tries to shoot on Jack. Jack stuffs him and gets in his face. But Islam's striking is so underrated. Islam could put the hands on Jack too.
So that wraps up today's video. What are your thoughts on this exciting matchup between Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev? Drop your predictions in the comments below. We'd love to hear them. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and check out our other videos for more MMA content.